Have you seen time going backward? Don't be hasty to conclude. The woman was washing the dishes. She just turned around and talked to her daughter. When looking back, she was stunned. She didn't know why all the furniture turned black. The house looked as if it had just been burned. What was stranger was her daughter was gone. This made the woman feel lost. She tried to shout out for her daughter. Suddenly, a burst of a baby crying came from the bedroom. After opening the door, unexpectedly, oh my God, her 6-year-old daughter turned into a baby. She rushed out with her daughter in her arms. Then she took her daughter towards the building curiously. Magic happened again. The baby in her arms had turned into her 6-year-old daughter like before. What did this mean? Then the police rushed to the scene. They began to examine carefully. They found something strange. It was all burned marks here, but they didn't find any sparks. This was not the strangest. The incident happened today. The 6-year-old girl became a baby in a blink of an eye. But her mom didn't know why. After investigation, 5 years ago, there had been similar fires in that building. Was time going back? Olivia thought it was unreasonable that time was going backward. The next second, the clue slapped the thought away. A group of young people was about to drive past the tracks. A train suddenly appeared in front of the car. They hurriedly got off the car. The scene in front of them made him stunned. The train was disappearing out of thin air. Just as Peter was about to leave, he went straight through the scene of the incident. Suddenly, from afar, his colleague came over. Peter asked him how did he get there. Lincoln replied, driving. On the way, Peter was just about to speak. It seemed that time travel had also happened to him. After investigation, they knew that the track was abandoned years ago. And the strange thing was after checking, it turned out that the car had become rusty. Peter stroked it a few times. Just snapping his finger, there was a hole in the baffle. Then he looked for it casually. It'll be right here. He wanted to tell his colleagues about the strange phenomenon. But he just reached out, he was back in the car. Everything happened so naturally. This was a magical scene. A man went directly through a transparent wall. The next second, he felt strange throughout his whole body. He shouted for help, but he disappeared the next second, turning into ashes. It turned out that, just an hour ago, the woman wrote all the formulas on the blackboard. It was when time was about to be cracked. Seeing his wife was so busy, he kept looking at his watch. The pencil broke. Her husband immediately gave her the other. It seemed that everything was in his plan. As if everything was just like he expected. He asked his wife, did you crack it? The answer was immediate. Then the husband looked at his watch again. There were only a few seconds left. The man kissed his wife slowly. The next second, his wife disappeared out of thin air. The husband calmly let go of the cup. It was his wife again. His wife at that time, sat in a wheelchair with her eyes blankly still. The husband handed her a cup of tea. The wife asked him, who are you? It turned out that his wife had dementia. He used his wife's formula to develop a time machine. The successful machine led him back to the past. But it was a pity, any time he crossed, it only lasted 47 minutes. What he didn't know was such a machine brought trouble to the outside world. Finally, the police followed the clue that led to him. A police officer went straight in. In an instant, the officer disappeared. That was because the time in this bubble was 2016. The outside time was 2021. The gap between inside and outside was 5 years. After ordinary people go in, they couldn't stand such a time difference. They would disappear. If anyone wanted to go in and turn off the machine switch, they could only put on a device to shield the magnetic field. On the other side, the crossed wife knew what her husband did. She wanted him to turn off the time machine. So the two had an argument. Finally, the man told his wife about Alzheimer's. He asked her to write the answer, so she could time travel forever to 5 years ago, never losing her memories. On the other side, because of the time machine, something more terrible happened. Another time bubbles blocked the tunnel. And on the other side of the bubble, it was a vast ocean. When a man was taking a picture, water began to flow out of the bubble. Seeing this, the crowd quickly retreated. Time was pressing. The police needed to turn off the time machine. Otherwise, there would be more unexpected disasters. Peter wore uric acid magnetic field clothes, ripping off the banner, turning on the shield switch. He pulled his arm up in time. Then he slowly put his hand in. After a few seconds, he shrank back. When he was sure it was safe, he clenched his teeth and went through the bubble. Fortunately, there was no abnormality in the large equipment. Then he slowly approached the house. He walked cautiously towards the basement. Just walking downstairs, he was knocked unconscious by the house owner. Fortunately, the old man didn't mean to hurt him. The argument continued. At this time, Peter woke up. He told him the disasters outside caused by the time machine. The wife heard it, willing to turn off the time machine. But she asked Peter to let her husband go. For the sake of the residents' safety, Peter agreed to her request. The old man turned off the time machine. The wife was in tears, but she also smiled. It was like saying goodbye to her husband forever. She disappeared. On the other side, in the tunnel, the sea disappeared in an instant. Everything was back to normal. When the old man secretly wanted to save his wife again, the scene in front of him made him panic completely. All formulas of his wife were ruined. Only on the last page, a few words were left. How to repay me. Just love me and live your life. After watching the film, I can't help but think that the husband became a devil for his wife, even willing to abandon the whole world. And the wife for the world, she was willing to give up her husband. Maybe this is the essence of love. Love is selfish. That's all for today. I'm Harry. I'll see you next time.